So this is every single movie that I watched in 2023. There are 100 movies. Frighteningly low, considering I have a film degree, but I'm sure that most of that time that I would have spent watching movies went into reading a lot more books than I usually do. So I'm not really sure how sad I am meant to be for not watching as many movies as I perhaps usually would. The first one is Strange World, which is Wasted Potential, the movie. Could have been great, and yet Babylon. So I think jazz is absolutely the medium to bring back maximalism to film, and no one understands that better than Damien Chazelle. The next one is Tars. This had excellent performances, it was very pensive, very interesting, and had incredibly intricate writing. And really loved the colour white. The Fabelmans. It was one of my favourite Spielbergs in a very long time, and I think Gabriel Labelle was very robbed at the Oscars, and just every other kind of accolade that he probably could have got last year. Then I watched all of the Chronicles of Narnia. I think these are really fun family action movies and have great rewatch potential, but they aren't particularly interesting writing-wise. But the directing, lighting, costume, prop, and set design come together to really bring this movie to life in a way that I don't think the Narnia stories deserve, because I am the biggest Narnia hater that ever existed. I then watched a bunch of queer South Asian movies for a video, so watched that video, I'll put that over here for my thoughts. I think they were very transformative for me, and I think that they definitely signal the beginning of something very intriguing for the South Asian and Indian space within making movies about queer people. I also then watched a whole bunch of movies about rom-coms to see their transformation over the decades, which was a fun romp, and I also have a video on all of those. The next thing I watched was Oldboy. This was really over the top and indulgent in all the right ways. I think we need this level of adherence and reverence for action and thriller instead of side-eyeing action in newer movies. He even doesn't do this anymore, so interesting. He being Park Chan-wook. Scream 6. I kind of forgot this happened this year. I was pretty entertained watching this, and I was sad that it had to end, but Free Palestine and, Melissa Barrera, you are queen for that. Then I watched Cloudy with Chance Meatballs. This is nowhere near as fun as people make it out to be. It's very original and the actual animation was very cool, but maybe I should have watched this when I was 8 when this came out instead of now, because it definitely didn't resonate with me, I think, the way that it perhaps did with a lot of other people. Then I rewatched / first watched some excellent coming of age movies for my films that make you feel like you're in Supercut by Lorde video. So watch my video on my thoughts for all of those films and my recommendations on how to feel like you're in Supercut by Lorde. Then I watched Beau is Afraid. Okay, enough slices. This movie was so egregiously long, and the last act is paced like wet cement. I hated that last act, but I do think, if anything, this says that we should let weirdos get budget to make weird movies again. I think that's something that would be interesting. Then I watched The Little Mermaid, which really is a big testament for why we should let weirdos make movies, because this movie was unnecessary in many ways. Halle Bailey and her co-star, I forgot his name, Jonah, I think, Howard King, that's his name, I think, have great chemistry, and she sings so beautifully, vaguely makes up for the fact that there is a garbage CGI third act battle, which Disney loves to shove in. Then I watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which was simply gorgeous. The characterization had me in near tears, but I didn't want to cry because I was there with my friends, so I didn't want them to make fun of me. It did have me raise my eyebrows just because the politics are a little weird. It's really pro-cop in a way that I don't really jive with, but it does lead us into some excellent plot points, and in doing that though, it does feel a little unfinished. The ending of this is a little bit weird. I think it could be a very strong second movie depending on how this trilogy ends up rounding out. It did have a very Call Me By Your Name ass ending in that I thought it was going to stop and then it would just keep going. There was so many scenes where I was like, this is the end, and then it just would keep going. Then I watched Malignant, which was loads of fun. I watched it with a group of friends and I really, really liked it. I think the makeup team on this, or the effects team that were doing special effects for their face, were robbed. They did so well considering it was mostly practical, incredible stuff from that team, and they were just robbed in every single award. I don't think they won any. Then I watched Megan with the same group of friends, and I knew all of the memes about this movie by the time that I watched it, yet it was still so funny and silly and upbeat. It was a real crowd pleaser movie, and I really recommend, if you're having a house party and you want to put something on, put this movie on in the background. Trust me, it's definitely that kind of movie. Then I watched No Hard Feelings. Comedies are back in a way, and Jennifer Lawrence reminds us all in this movie that those Oscars are hers for a reason. She is incredible in this, but so is Andrew Barth Feldman. They leave him out of the conversation in this. And someone who I never see mentioned is Natalie Morales. She's also in this movie, and I think she's a really lively comedy actress who always brings up whatever she's in. Flowers for her. The movie is a little off kilter and unserious, and I chuckled out loud very many times. So I do see it becoming sort of a canon comedy movie soon enough. Like, it'll be like one of the most remembered 20s comedy movies, even though it came out so early in the 20s. Then I watched Barbie. Watching Barbie and knowing that we can get such good set design makes me incredibly excited for what could come. I hope all the studios realize what we actually want from this movie is good stories about women and not movies about toys, you know? I don't know if they're gonna get that, but that's essentially what we want. It's a good time for the girls, but I do think America Ferrera and Ariana Greenblatt's characters are both kind of underwritten. They're meant to sort of serve as the emotional heart of this movie instead of Barbie in the Barbie movie, which is definitely, in my opinion, a choice that I don't really get. But they are wildly underwritten, and I think this causes such weird problems. And all of these problems, I think, could have been fixed with the fact that if this movie was like 30 minutes longer, we could have got more characterization, which would have rounded out the movie a little better. But yeah, I have my issues, but it looks gorgeous, and I hope we get more movies like this where they allow people to be a little bit more experimental with an IP. Then I watched Oppenheimer, obviously. Everything about this movie, from the moment the bomb actually explodes, which is quite late, everything was like beyond my comprehension. I really love it when Nolan makes war movies, and the sound mixing in this was great. So clearly someone had a word with Nolan after Tenet. Then I watched Red, White and Royal Blue. It was a very cringe time, but it was really good. So no thoughts. Then I watched Incantation. So I watched this on holiday with a group of friends, and it was still the scariest movie I've ever seen, even though I watched it with other people. We all went to sleep together because we could not hack how scary it was to be alone. Highly recommend watching this movie. It's really fun and it's really scary. Then I watched Bottoms. I love when lesbians are losers, okay? I really feel myself connecting when they get no play. This was spectacularly funny in both the script and the physicality of the acting all of the actors had. Like, the performances were great, and I think a big part of that was just how much the cast clearly likes each other, and that really helped elevate the film, at least for me. Then I watched all of the Fear Street trilogy. I watched these around Halloween and was pleasantly surprised. It was better than I was expecting, but I did think it could have been campier considering the plot and the tone of these movies. Like, it wasn't very scary, so I think it could have been more rompy than it actually was. I do stand by the fact that this should have come out during Halloween instead of the summer. Like, I understand why it came out during the summer because the second movie happens at a summer camp, but still. Then I watched the Wes Anderson short films. Okay, I'm not really sure what drove Wes Anderson to make The Swan or The Ratcatcher the way that they were, because they felt like visual audiobooks more than they were good films. It just really woke up, however, how much set design is integral to his vision and just how thorough his vision actually is. Like, this is nothing narrative or like particularly interesting, but you just see Wes Anderson like dripping from every part of this, and I think that's so cool. Like, being as interesting as he is so enchanting, which is why I think Henry Sugar being a more well-paced was just, for me, worked better. It just worked better. Then I watched Stoker. Finding out that Wentworth Miller wrote this was just so funny. Like, what business did he have writing this? I also thought this was going to be about vampires, because Bram Stoker, this is called Stoker. I don't know, I just thought it was going to be something to do with that. It wasn't. It was, however, very gripping. It was exceptionally pretty and had a really nice Alden Eldridge cameo, which I wasn't expecting. Then I watched Age of Innocence, which I think is probably my least favourite Scorsese that I've seen so far, but I also don't really like Edith Wharton, who wrote the book that this is adapted from, and I think that the problems with this that I had was that it was very slow, and I think that's more of a fault with the writing and like the actual source material than it is with the directing or anything. I really liked the stuffy, overwhelming atmosphere that's like consistently created in this to portray the upper classes. It's something that newer period dramas I don't think do at all, and I think they should, because it really adds a nice, realistic and pragmatic touch to lived in houses when it comes to period dramas. Like, not everyone has like this enormous empty house. Then I watched May December. Okay, I came back from like a day out and I watched this, and from here on I started like an avalanche of watching movies for the rest of the month. So every single movie that I watch from here on is literally just what I watched in December. Everything I watched before this was like the rest of the year, and then everything else is just December. So this movie, really loved it. Charles Melton saying that Riverdale versus Juilliard actually makes really good sense if you understand how 20 ep seasons are actually made, and also allows me to be a bit more open with the fact that I've actually seen way too much Riverdale, and that the shame that I have for it, you know, there's reasons for it now. At least I know that Charles Melton's come up, you know, I contributed to that. Then I watched Past Lives. Look, I simply can't give too much empathy for interracial couples. Like, just download Duolingo, stop making it our problem. I think Teo Yoo and Greta Lee deliver emotional and powerful performances, and I think that they will both live with me forever. Like, those performances really hit me. Plus, I think the guy, I don't know how to say his name, I think it's Teo Yoo, I don't know, but I'd call him elder millennial Jaehyun, because he really looked like Jaehyun from NCT, and I just could not stop thinking about the fact that he looked like Jaehyun from NCT the whole way through. Then I watched Chungking Express. So this was a rewatch, but I think I really understood this movie this time. Like, I thought it was just so stunning. And read someone else's review if you actually want like a good opinion on this movie, because I was just like so consumed with how stunning everything was. I really like this movie. I'm not the biggest In the Mood for Love fan, so I was really happy that I really liked this. When I watched Broker, IU not being a bad actor really shocks me. I was like, wow, she's really good in this. It has a really compelling story, and it's wrapped up in a really nice, lovely, found family like dynamic. And I love this director, and I need to get around to watching more from him, because I've only seen this and Shoplifters, and they were really good, and I think I gave them both like 5 or 4.5 stars, so more from him. Then I watched The Shape of Water. Guillermo, your swag is too different. Your bitch is too bad, Guillermo. They'll kill you, Guillermo. I don't know why I put it off watching this for so long. Like, I think I was just a prude. I was like, oh, she's gonna fuck the fish, like, ew. But who cares? Let Sally Hawkins fuck the fish. This movie was so good. Then I watched Asteroid City. I don't think I get this movie. Like, I did understand the message, but I don't think I got it the whole way through. On another note, I think the sound editing in this went fucking crazy. It was so good. Like, the score, is sound editing the score? Whatever, like the music was so good. Then I watched Penelope. Now this is a movie that's gonna be a really good movie to remake in like 15 years time. This version of this movie, however, fucking sucks. Then I watched Serendipity. Okay, I love a good second chance romance, but it's only fun if we get to see the romance. And we need to at least see the first romance or the second romance or both, or just like a little bit here and there. We don't see any romance. Then I watched Kiss of the Rabbit God. This is a short film, intensely magnetizing, and I wish this director had like a feature film. It's very good. I wish this director all the best. And I watched Carol. Oh my god, 15-year-old me did not understand this movie, okay? But I think me now, I'll be watching this every Christmas season for the rest of my life. Like, wow. This movie feels like crying into a cup of hot chocolate Baileys on the 23rd of December. That's the vibe. Then I watched Benediction. I'm not sure the direction here was my favorite. It was kind of odd. I feel like reciting poetry in the middle felt really like disparate, like weird. But Jack Lowden, or Loden, I don't know how to say his name, is very talented, and I'm glad I've finally been given an opportunity to watch him in something, because who the fuck is watching Slow Horses on Apple TV? Does anyone know that Slow Horses on Apple TV exist? No. Then I watched Holiday. So here comes like a whole bunch of like Christmas rom-coms. Holiday, the main thing I have to say is, do people not have to give their scripts to other people to check over before they have to make a movie? Because this could have been such a solid film if anyone tightened up Act 2. Like, it was so dumb. Like, all they needed was a bit of guidance, but this movie was crap. Then I watched Falling for Christmas. Now, this was a movie that was never going to be salvaged. I just feel like it was so bad, and Lindsay Lohan deserved a better movie to come back with. This was crap. I don't know how much they paid her for this. Then I watched Four Christmases. I hated this movie. I was just like, why was this made? Who was this for? Like, Vince Vaughn, I never find him interesting in anything. He's so annoying. Then I watched Roald Dahl's Matilda the Musical. Okay, there is way too much Trunchbull and not enough Matilda in Matilda the movie. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And considering the charm and the warmth the DeVito version of the film has, this being a musical and not even partially touching that level makes this frankly embarrassing. This was such a weird and annoying movie. Then I watched Wonka. Paul King does have the juice, but I do think, like many other people, Timmy was miscast in this movie, given the kind of sort of cheerful Britishness that comes from most of the other cast. I think that Wonka should have also been British. Some of the musical numbers I think were also ridiculous, whilst some were allowed to be decent. Me and my friends walked out of this movie, not like, we didn't walk out as in like we left this movie, being like, this has a massive likelihood of becoming a stage musical in the near future, rather than just becoming like a really nice solid movie that you can rewatch. Like, it has sort of Sky cinema vibes, like the type of thing that you would see broadcast every Christmas instead of an actual like good movie. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but it just has like on TV vibes. Like, they would have this on TV if anyone watched TV. Okay, then I watched both Your Christmas Oh Mine 1 and 2. Oh my god, Asa Butterfield, I'm begging you to just pick better project. My guy, what the fuck is this? This script was so bad that Harriet White was like, actually, I won't be coming back for season 2, actually. Not season 2, book 2. Film 2! How did I get that wrong twice? Yeah, it was just bad. It was really bad. Like, I think that's like the least favorite thing I watched all year. It was so weird and bad. After that, I watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Downey is really good in this, and I'm not sure if I actually liked this movie. At the same time, you can see that Shane Black makes a stance here of who he is as a director, because if you compare this to The Nice Guys, you evidently see that he's gotten better since this film, and like, he's gotten better at being the guy who makes this film. if that makes sense. Like, they're very similar in ways, and I just think The Nice Guys is much better, but you can see the beginnings of The Nice Guys here. Then I watched Tangerine. Sean Baker, I was not familiar with your game, bro. This was magnificent. I was really submerged into this movie. The iPhone gimmick slayed. I don't think it wore off on me personally. You're that guy, Sean. Like, I simply just didn't know. Then I watched Something from Tiffany's. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, I think this was probably the worst movie I saw. The cheating trope is never gonna fly with me, especially if the script is crap and the actors were not acting properly. I don't know, I like Zoe Dutch. What the hell was happening in this movie? And then I watched Xmas. Okay, this was a good holiday cringe fest film, okay? I wish the third act was better, but Robbie Amell and Leighton Meester are giving everything in this movie. This felt like a very cozy book-esque movie. Like, this felt like a book more than it felt like a movie. I don't know how they managed that, but it felt very nice. It had me very quickly invested in the story, but kind of lost the ball they were running with due to pacing or direction, like, near the end. Then I watched Last Holiday. It was good, but I was waiting for it to be great. Then I watched Maestro. Bradley, like, babe, give it a rest. Like, enough. Saltburn. What can I say that hasn't already been said? You know, shite class politics, bad writing, incredible to look at, etc, etc, you know? Then I watched The Holiday. It's a cult classic for a reason. White Christmas. This was way more racist than I remember it being. Yeah, I don't know. This was very racist in ways I didn't remember. Then I watched Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, not sure why I thought that this should be my first ever Kubrick, but I was kind of absolutely blown away. It felt like floating when I was watching this. I enjoyed every moment of this film. I can't imagine what the others are like, considering this is one that people don't even massively like as much as the others in comparison, so can't wait to watch another Kubrick film. Then I watched A Charlie Brown Christmas. Okay, this was like super duper sweet. I do think it was more religious than I was thinking it was going to be, considering it's a mainstream American mainstay of Christmas, and like they have secularism bullshit going on in their country, so I was like, oh, religion. I wasn't expecting that at all, actually. Then I watched Elemental. Once again, I do not care about your fucking interracial relationship. Just commit to the bit or become estranged from your parents. Like, come on now. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. We didn't need this. However, I will say the set design team, you are beloved. Like, that was really nice to look at, but nah. The Heron and the Boy. Having a legacy must be such an unfathomable concept. I don't know how Miyazaki copes. I feel emotional just thinking about the way that he weaved the idea of legacy into this film. And I think this film really stays with you way past its runtime. I then watched Weathering with You. I'm not sure how I feel about such a realistic looking anime. Like, making anime and then drawing stone buildings in such detail is such a choice. I think it's a very soft and genuine and passionate movie regardless. Then I watched Meet Cute. Enough with the Groundhog movies. Like, I think we've just had it enough and we should let Groundhog as a trope just like rest for like 10 years. We'll give it a rest. Then I watched Happily. This is such a throw-on movie. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like you throw this on, you know? It's not anyone's finest work, but you could throw this on and people would be happy to watch it. Then I watched Look Both Ways. I read a book that had this exact plot. It's called Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it was bad. And then I watched this, and this was also bad. And I think I should just like stay away from anything that has the pregnancy trope in it. I don't like the pregnancy trope, and every time I see it, I'm like, ugh. So I should just save my time. Also, this is such a reductive movie. Does feminism not exist anymore, guys? Like, what the fuck is this movie? Then I watched My Best Friend's Wedding. Now, feminism doesn't exist in this movie, but that's okay. 10 out of 10 for Julia Roberts' hair. Low-key, I was watching this not caring if she did break up the wedding or not, because I liked both of the guys that were in this. They were both quite hot and sexy in many ways. I think modern casting directors need to remember the fact that both men need to be sexy and actually in competition with each other. And this is probably my favourite Julia Roberts movie I've ever seen. I will say I've not seen Erin Brockovich yet. And then I watched New Year's Eve. This is one of those like compilation movies where you're just like following like a shit ton of people, and it's not a good movie. But Zac Efron, I need you to call me. I have several things that we need to discuss. The Efronaissance is upon us, and I can't wait to watch The Iron Claw next year. Like, and the last movie that I watched this on New Year's Eve, is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. I can't believe this movie has an Oscar. Undeserved as hell. What's going on here? I think it wants to be really earnest in the way The Snowman is, or something sort of equivalent to that, but it has none of the gorgeous qualities that movie has, so it sort of just gets left in the dust. Like, what a bad movie to end the year on, but I understand what it was going for, but it misses the mark completely. Those are all of the movies that I watch. Obviously I omitted some of them, but watch my videos so that you can see what I thought. Anyway, yeah, those are all the movies. I only watched 100, and I think I am honestly aiming for 300 next year. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I know that I probably won't, because like employment will stop me from doing that. There's a lot of new movies I'm excited to see next year, so hopefully it's a great year for movies. Thank you for watching. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you liked it, and thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day, and hope you watch some of these. Like, some of these deserve to be watched. Some of them don't. You know what I do think is wildly robbed? The Fabelmans. Even though it's a Spielberg movie, it didn't do very well. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. It's just like a Spielberg kind of biopic. He made it himself about someone else, but it was very good. So watch that movie. Yeah.